and that will start us off. So thank you everybody for coming to our Going Pro Talent Fund info session for the fiscal year 26. Oh my gosh. And that would be cycle one. There are two cycles in that in the fiscal year now. So we're going to start off. My name is Rob Dickinson. I'm the Business Services Regional Director for Northwest Michigan Works. It's a program of Networks Northwest. I always give that big long title just because I'm going to talk about both entities pretty quickly here, just so you can get an idea of who we are and where we're from. So just like the slide says, this my team, our team is the business services team that helps administer the Going Pro Talent Fund grant. So we are your in-region, on-site, if you need a phone call away expert for this grant, for this award. So just so you know, I will at the end make sure that you have all of the contact information for somebody nearest you so that you can have that open line of communication with us. I'm going to be looking off screen just for notes and stuff, so I apologize for that. But our team does include business services reps. We have four of them across the region. Right now, I'm hiring for Antrim, Charlevoix, and Emmett. So we're in the process of having the expert up there for you. In the meantime, you have myself, Rob Dickinson, or Kyle Ray. He's our administrative guru for this grant to ask any questions that you have. And there's no wrong door. So if you get somebody on our team or even in the organization, they'll point you to us. So that's a great asset for us. We also have our sister team, the apprenticeship team. We have 5 apprenticeship specialists. We always mention these guys, especially in conjunction with the talent fund, because there's a incentive for you to do apprenticeship programs to get more points and be more competitive. So just so you know, we have another whole team, 5 specialists, another support specialist like Kyle, so the administrative guru over there, plus another regional director for that. And that is a very busy team, but they're very willing to expand your current programs, develop new ones with you, help you maintain these records. So make sure that you are in the know on that as well. If you're wanting to get connected and you're talking to the BSR, the business services rep, just let them know and we'll put you straight into contact with them. We also have up north a success coach who lives in Emmett and Charlevoix counties. That's where they work out of. And they are with 7 right now, looking for the 8th business. And their job is retention. So they work on retention with people. So that is to say that we have a lot of people and a lot of support for you. Just so you know, we're not the only business service program within Networks Northwest. We have the Apex Accelerators. I already spoke about the apprenticeships, the Business Resource Network up in our Emmett and Charlevoix at this point. And then we have the Global Trade Alliance as well. Get you hooked up with some exporting services there too. So whatever resources you need, we're game. Those are just our internal partnerships. We also have connections with the external partners at a regional and a state level. So pretty much every question that a business has, we can help with in some form or fashion. So never be afraid to get in contact with us. And just a little bit about how we support the Pure Michigan Talent Connect statewide job board, free to you, free to a job seeker. We try to play matchmaker all the time. This is something that we can do with you. We can teach you how to do it. We could do it for you. That job board, you already have Indeed, I'm sure, and you might be on other job boards as well. This is another one that we can actually have up. Everybody in our center that comes through as a job seeker will be looking and using the Pure Michigan Talent Connect. So it's just another one to use and have that opportunity. Training opportunities, the biggest one, the Going Pro Talent Fund grant award, why we're here today. So we do have that training opportunity. We also do on-the-job training. That is an incentive for you to hire somebody that maybe doesn't have every skill that you're looking for, but you like this person. They might fit your culture and you want to bring them on board. we can help incentivize that if they're coming through our system and offset some of that, first 90-day training costs, we'll call it. So we'll do up a little small contract between the three parties and get you reimbursed for some of that training that you're doing so that you're not out some of that money there. And then I talked about the connections that we have, and that could be anywhere from our internal teams with apprenticeships to state level at Leo or the MEDC, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, all the EDOs, the chambers in the area, international trade programs, you name it. We're going to be able to connect you. So, why are we here? Well, you want the scoop on the basics of the Going Pro Talent Fund. If you're new, great. You're going to get a nice little overview, and we will be happy to come on site and explain in detail what you need to do. If you're coming back to the table, you're looking for those little changes that might have happened. And usually that centers around the scoring criteria. So we'll let you in the know on that as well. So yeah, updates and changes from the previous award cycles. So you never know what's going to change. We promise not a ton of changes happen, but you'll want to know what did. So, and you want to unlock the secrets of the scoring priorities, right? You want to be with us because we know just by like the sheer volume of work that we do with this program, what the scoring criteria should look like for you. If you're getting this many points, are you going to be competitive? Are we going to look for a different program because maybe this isn't a great fit for you as an employer? And then today, I'll introduce at the very end and on the phone call who exactly you could be working with. One of the business services reps, or maybe an apprenticeship specialist, or both. So we'll get everybody involved. Just to give you a little bit of background and context, the Going Pro Lifetime Awards here, just so you know, we're just over a decade old in this program being live. In our region, we've had 426 awards for over $12.5 million being sent to our region to train and upskill individuals that are on your staffs. So that means the state of Michigan has over 8,000 awards and about 329 million sent to across the state. I will say in our area, we are known for punching above our weight with this. We bring in more money percentage wise than most other areas in Michigan. And that's a testament to not only our team helping you out, but the recognition of need that the employers have and the willingness to go through the program and take advantage of it. So that's huge. And just last year, the FY25 stats, we brought in almost 1.9 million more for training. That was 60 awards. Usually the average sits around 32,000, but 60 out of 85 applications altogether. So we're bringing in a lot of those awards that are being applied for. So that is good news for all of us. We trained 971 trainees last year. Special note, 231, so almost a quarter of those, or right around a quarter of those, were USDOL registered apprentices. So that is a good number of apprentices and very much why we need a lot of people in support on that team. And they are able to help. They have over 100 occupations last time I checked. And if there's anybody on here that is on that team that wants to fact check me there, go right ahead. But over 100 occupations is a fantastic amount. It's a good business decision to maybe come alongside them and see what apprenticeships can do for you. I always like to point out too the employer contribution. So see that 1.9 million that we brought into the area? Well, we always ask the employers, what are you putting into this training above and beyond that 1.9 million? Well, all of the employers that participated in FY25 put in not only that 1.9 that they were going to get reimbursed back, but almost 11.5 million more. I think that's huge. That's something that I tout every time I see one of our representatives. Northern Michigan is making the investment into these trainees. It's not just us asking for a handout. You are literally seeing millions and millions of dollars of investment by employers in this area, and to get just a fraction of that back. So I always like to put that one out there as well. All right, the talent fund. As far as the overview, we're supporting the governor's 60 by 30. We're asking anybody that is going to be trained in this come out the other side with industry recognized credential, which will lead right into that goal of 60% of the state uh, earning an industry recognized credential by 2030. So that's great. It's got to lead to good jobs, strong wages, and that career advancement piece. So maybe they're not getting a promotion, but they are learning a skill that could put them in the running for that promotion. Anything to that effect, we're looking for as well. You're gonna The fund is here to help employers, develop and retain the talent that we have in this area. There's other programs that will bring that talent in. That is awesome. This one is here to develop the ones that are coming and that are staying, and we want to retain them. So that is huge. Ensures businesses have the skilled workforce needed to compete and grow. Some of the trainings that we've done in the past have led directly to getting new contracts. $1 million plus contract here or there. But when you multiply that out by 60 employers, every year, that could make some really good economic changes in our area. Employer eligibility overview. So in order to qualify for this grant, this award, you have to have the need for skill enhancement. And if you're here, you probably have the need for some of your staff, if not all of your staff, to be trained up and make sure that they have those registered apprenticeship or advanced tech training opportunities. And this could be for new or current employees. You have to have a physical presence here in Michigan. You have to be a non-government private entity. Now, you can be a for-profit or a nonprofit. We work with both all the time, but you have to be a non-government private entity. You have to be compliant in all state tax obligations. That includes the corporate sales use, withholding, personal income, and unemployment taxes. So when this comes up, in practice, you're going to be applying for the grant, and then whoever has the correct amount of points will be awarded, or the most amount of points, you'll be awarded. And then if there is a state tax obligation that needs to be taken care of, the state will notify us, the Michigan Works Association, and tell us that this company needs to take care of something. We won't know what it is, but we will have, a resource or a phone number that you can call, that you can get that taken care of. Sometimes it's easy; it's a phone call, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's good. You're good." Sometimes it's a little bit more involved in that. So we get this in advance. That money is held for you, and within 60 days, if you clear that up, then you will be awarded that money. If you do not clear that up in 60 days, that money will go to somebody else. And you agree uh, to follow all program guidelines and eligibility requirements. So not eligible to apply. Here's your long list. I always say that we've run into a couple of these every now and then. Like a county road commission will say we need some training. Well, they're on the list for not eligible to apply. So if you're on this list, or you think you are but you don't know, you can check with us. We'll help with that. Okay, over to the employee eligibility piece of it. Okay, this grant can be used only for permanent full-time employees. Full-time meaning 32 hours a week or more when the training begins. They cannot be seasonal or part-time, and they have to work primarily in Michigan with the employer paying all applicable state taxes. They have to be 18, and they have to be a U.S. citizen or legally authorized to work in the U.S. Again, if you have any questions, just feel free. we'll get you straightened out. Who qualifies as a current employee? There are two types of employees. This is why we have these slides. There are current and new. The current employee is on the payroll at the time of application or hired 31 days or more before the award date. Usually the award date for cycle one is January 1st. All these dates that you're going to see today are subject to change. So we will make sure that you're in the know of when that award date is. Promoted or moved into a new role. So if you are a person that was promoted or moved into just a different role, you would still be considered a current employee. Transition from part-time to full-time, still current. Rehired after being laid off, furloughed, or terminated. So if you have been rehired pretty quickly after you left the company for whatever reason, then that would be a current. Best practice so far has been if you have been terminated, you left for a year and then you're coming back, things have changed, so you need to be considered a new hire. That's kind of our unofficial cutoff, but we'll make sure the person gets in the right category. And then if they're a former contract, a temp worker, or a 1099 worker that's now directly hired, they are still considered a current, not a new. Conversely, the new hire means that you are hired within 30 days before, on, or after that after that award effective date. And you have not previously worked for the employer in any capacity, including what we just talked about, that temporary situation, a contract or a 1099. And you should be sourced using the Michigan Talent Connect. This is that statewide job board that I spoke about at the beginning. If you're working with us, we're going to push that to you as a resource. You can tell us yes, no, help me out with that later. You can tell us a lot of different things, but that is something that's in here that qualifies you. Okay, so reimbursement rates. Not new. This has been in place for a couple of years, but this was raised from the original thing. So we just left it in here. You can get up to $2,000 for current or newly hired, and you can get up to $3,500 if they're apprentices. And just to note, reimbursement takes place after all the training is completed. All the training that you have identified is completed. Okay, so how do you score points? That's a really good question, and we're going to get to it. Right here is part of the new. So there's lots of points to get. So there's 2 pages to this, but and I'll go into detail on a couple of them on the next few slides. But here it is. You can see there's a scoring criteria over here, and this talks about your high priority. It talks about if your application includes training at a college or a university or a third party. It talks about a lot of different things, even an allowance for veteran-owned, women-owned, minority-owned, individual with a disability-owned, or geographically disadvantaged. So you're getting all these points. This exact thing, this exact scoring criteria table will be in the process guide when it is made available. We have not received the final version of that yet, but we will as soon as we get that. We will send it to the people that have expressed interest in these info sessions. So if you're on that list, you're going to get a copy of it, but also we'll put it on our website so that you can have access to it there. So that's the first half of it. Here's the second half of it. Still talking about the regional median wage and the size of the amount of funding requested. You get points for being for asking for a little bit less. If you ask for $220,001, you're going to get 0 points. But doesn't kick you out of the running. It's just they're trying to encourage the smaller awards so that the grant goes further. So there's those. I told you I get into detail about a couple of them. Here we go. So that industry recognized certification or license, that you could earn or you can earn 5 points. So you are making sure that to earn 5 points, a minimum of one training that results in an industry recognized certification or license within the training period. If you have one of those things, you can get your 5 points. It was three, now it's five. So they're putting a little bit more emphasis on that one. So that's why we want to highlight that. So these are the industry recognized credentials. Just a little bit about those, just in case you had a question on that. We'll point out that the examples for a certification would be like your project management professional certification, the PMT, or like a CINA credential uh, or certification, or your CompTIAs. When you get that certification, those are the certifications. A license, I always hold up like a CDL for that. LPN, professional surveyor, other examples of that. But we will be there if you have a question about it. Usually, that license is a mandatory credential to legally practice. So you cannot do the work without that license. The certification kind of helps you in that realm, but that license is a little bit more needed, we'll say. Okay, so minority owned or geographically disadvantaged. Okay, so this did change. Minor language change and a point total went from 5 points to four. So de-emphasizing this one just a smidge. But if you are one of those minority owned, women owned, veteran owned, individual with a disability owned, and you can prove that, then you and the business is at least 51% owned, but also controlled, and the day-to-day operations and long-term decisions are managed by that person, then you can get those 4 points. So that is a good one to look at to see if you can qualify for those points. If you are a geographically disadvantaged business enterprise, you can also get those points. So the qualified opportunity zone, and we have these maps, so we'll just plug your address in and see if you are in one of those zones, or you can look it up as well. If you are in one of those opportunity zones, you're automatically a geographically disadvantaged business enterprise. If you're in a hub zone, those are two different zones, then you will also need to get the certification as a hub zone small business concern. And we put the website right here in the presentation that you can go to help with that. I also like to point out that our Apex Accelerator team can actually help with this. So we have people on our team, on our larger team in the umbrella corporation that can help you take that journey if that's something that you want to do. There is another note, 50%, it doesn't have to be 51 if you are if the business is owned by two people. Usually this comes in when a husband and a wife or two partners are owning the business and they both have 50-50. So that would be acceptable. USDO registered apprentice. Actually, nothing changed about this, but this is such a big piece of this and the reason for the success in our area that we just want to make sure that you stay connected with our apprenticeship team, basically, if you are looking for that advantage. So you can earn all the way up to 7 points for an apprenticeship program. And if you're thinking, I don't have any positions in my whole organization that could be apprenticed, I'm betting you're wrong. We have seen a lot of different things be apprenticed. They have, and I'm going to forget the number, but if I didn't tell you that piece and I said there's 1,800 on the shelf apprentice programs that they can pull from, and then they can also modify those ones that are currently out there to fit your needs. That is something that has been taken advantage of a lot in our area, and our apprenticeship team can work with you to apprentice almost anything. So, what is an apprenticeship other than putting a formal structure to the training that you're already doing? I think that's worth it. I think that's worth the time. We also knew last year we had to start doing this a Rapids ID printout or a 671 form. That might mean nothing to you, but just that is going to be required documentation that we get. If you're working with our team, They will help us get that pretty easily. If you run your own program, these are forms that someone on your staff should be acquainted with, and we're going to need those forms. So that's why we kind of put this on there as well. That's a newer requirement, but something that we've already put out there since last year. Okay, the regional median wage. Um, just to point out that the points went from 11 points for this regional median wage down to 9. Not a big move, especially when you think about this is one of the top point getters. But for that regional median wage, and in the process guide, you'll know exactly how much in every county that equates to. I have it in the presentation as well. So just, you know, we'll be getting to it in just a second. But the regional median wage, to earn the 9 points, you must be equal to or above the regional median wage no later than 90 days post training completion. And that verification must be provided or the employer will not be reimbursed. So that's when we're going to come to you for some payroll documentation to prove that these people on your training plan are making that regional median wage. And in the beginning on the application, you're going to indicate whether you hit that or you don't. If you say that you hit that regional median wage, and then you get the 9 points, great. If at the end of the training, you go through and your regional median wage does not equal that regional median wage, then we're in danger of rescinding the entire award. Here are the regional median wages for every county. There are, I'm going to forget the number now. I think there's four, 1, 2, 3, 4, yep, at the higher wage of 22.37. But that is the regional median wage for those 4 counties. And then the other 6 counties in our area are at $20.67. So we take we make sure that it's not for every employee. Your regional median wage just has to come out. The median wage has to come out at the end. The employer has not received an independent or ELC award. ELC award is an employer-led collaborative that is where 2 or more employers team up to go into an application. We can talk about that a little bit more later, but to earn 3 points, you must be an employer that has not received a talent fund award in the fiscal year 24 or 25, so the last 2 years. You will get 3 points for that. So, and that point total went up from 2 to 3. Just encouraging that newer employers come to the table. So for FY26 cycle 1, that's the current cycle that we're going to enter here very quickly, very soon. The application window, the plan is October 1st. It will open and go through, and the window closes on October 17th. I say that's the plan because there's a state government shutdown very possible. What we have done in the past, because we have had moved the state in the past, is to simply move out. I'm going to forget how many days or weeks that we did. I think it was just a week that we moved it in a previous iteration. But you will know just by virtue of being in communication with us when that application window is open. We will send that information out as soon as we know it. Training and application guidelines. So the training that you're going to identify must be complete within 12 months. So if the training start date is January 1st, you'll have all the way till December 31st, right? You'll have 12 months to do that. No extensions are allowed. So if the training's not done, you will not be reimbursed for it. And to apply for FY27 cycle 1, all your training's got to be done by the end of the year. To apply for the cycle 2 of next year, all the FY27, your FY26. These dates are way out, so it's better for us just to read that. But the FY26 training must be done by June 30th of 2027. So Important reminders that employers with multiple sites, if you're new to this, there was a time when if you had multiple sites, you could consolidate and you could write one Going Pro application for all of them. Now, if you have multiple sites, you each must apply separately. Employers not awarded in cycle one can still apply for cycle two. Just a piece on the employer-led collaboratives. Again, this is it's a separate application. It's going to have a separate application window. So this is when you have different employee or employers that need similar or the same training, and they want to go into the application process together. Um, so different application and scoring criteria for this. That's all going to be in the process guide. You can get an ELC award and an independent award. So you can get one of each per year. It's set aside funds, so the amount depends on the available funding. And usually it's been applications accepted until funds are exhausted. They did tell us that they are going to move, and I don't know if they're going to move this cycle or not, but they're going to move to an application window instead of going until the money's gone. But all that you will know. If you're interested in that, we will work with you and make sure that all the details are laid out for you. This just speaks a little bit more about it. At least two employers have to be in it for it to be considered an ELC. I do know that if you have four or more employers that are attached to it, you get some extra points for having four people come to the table. They can be from anywhere in the state. Again, the training just has to be really similar or the same training. It's for classroom training only. So new hires could be on this training plan, but they have to be taking classroom training. Unless, of course, they're part of a USDOL registered apprenticeship, then the OJT is kind of built into that program. And they must include a strong statement of collaboration. All right. So how do you get started in this whole process? You know a little bit about it. We've put out some of the do's and don'ts here and kind of the priorities of the program. But how do you get started? Well, you're going to talk to your business services representative. Again, I'm going to show you who that is at the end of the show here. You're going to develop a training plan. So you're going to think about who needs training. You're going to identify them. You're going to identify how much they're making. You're going to identify the training and how much it costs. You're going to put all that into a training plan that we will give you. We will give you a template. You get to fill it out. But that is something that the training plan is required for you to move on to the application piece. So once you develop that training plan and you get it to us, then we will have you send in the authorization request. This is an online application system. This is the site right here that you're going to sign up, sign in, and apply for. First step is that authorization request so that we know that you're a legitimate business and that you sent in a training plan. If you somehow skip the give me the training plan step, when we get the authorization request, our first step is to send you the training plan to make sure that you fill that out before we okay that or before we approve that authorization request. Once we do have the training plan and you send in your authorization request, we'll approve it and you can fill out your application at that point. You're going to look at all the point categories. You're going to strategize with your BSR on, can I get these points? Can I not? Those kinds of questions. Go back and forth as much as you want. Make sure you get it done by the window, but you can ask us anything we need to know. Here's an example of a training plan. Right here, you can see over on the far left, a training provider. So who is the training provider? What is the course name that you're going to be taking with them? What type of training is it? There's a drop-down menu. You'll be very intuitive for you guys. And then the cost per person. So some trainings might cost $2,000 a person. Great. If they cost, $1,100, that's the reimbursement that you're going to get. If it's training that the training vendor says, I will train as many people as you want for this amount. Well, then we'll just take the number of trainees that you want to send to it and then divide it by that amount to get the cost per person. So, and then over on the trainees, you're gonna, what type are they? Are they a new? Are they a current? Are they an apprentice? All these things will be in that drop down menu. Um, then I need their name. So job title for the if it's a new hire. So I don't know his name. He hasn't been hired yet. Well, what's the position? So we can put that in there. And then I need to know their hourly wage. And just so you guys know, none of this stuff goes anywhere. So if you're afraid that giving that information over to us, it is highly confidential, and we treat it with more than respect of that confidentiality. So. The rest of this will autofill. So the training provider, you identified the trainee that's going into that training provider. So we'll be able to see who's taking what. So things to remember. Here's that wage that you saw earlier, that median wage requirement. But the training plan, you have to have that to do this. The median wage requirement, remember that in the back of your head. You've got to hit that wage, especially if you identify, say yes to that question on the application. You've got to hit that wage to get your reimbursement at the end as well. Look at the scoring criteria. Make sure you're strategizing with your BSR to see how many points you can get, which ones are available to you, which ones aren't. Separate business sites are required to submit their own applications. Impact story. My really quick dive on impact stories is that this is going to be an ask of you at the end of the grant. And it's basically, how did this go? It's going to be 4 or 5 questions. You can take 2 minutes or you can take 2 days. I will tell you that, especially with the impending government shutdown here possibility, that we are taking all of the success stories that we have and programs like this one and putting them in front of the people that are making these decisions in Lansing and in DC, just to show that this program is a successful one and that this should be continued. So every time we get a really good story or we get something that we really think should be highlighted, we might come back to you and say, hey, would you like to turn this into a bigger story? But at least at minimum, you're telling us how we did, what the program did for you, how it made you feel, those kinds of things in that impact story. Like I said, it's 4 or 5 questions. Partners involved in your application, they're going to receive a copy of your application too. So if you have, anybody like that's going to be, and this, I will reiterate the fact that we do adhere strictly to the confidentiality. Wages and people's name, they're not going anywhere, so you don't have to worry about that. But the fact that you did apply, I will tell my counterpart at the state that you did, and maybe they have more resources that would apply to you, so making that connection for you. Reimbursement takes place after all training is complete. I won't go over impact stories again. I did that a second ago. Modification. So we know that business happens. We've been doing this grant for a long time, and we know that best laid plans don't always work out. So this grant, there are modification allowances. So we just want to go over a little bit of that, and make sure everybody's on the same page when it comes to that. Okay, so in this grant, modifications that maintain the original pledged intent and projected outcomes of the original application are allowed. The following components of the training plan are connected to the scoring criteria and may result in a deobligation of funds if altered through the modification closeout. So be very intentional in reading that. But that is to say that you're going to tell us a training plan. We're going to try to adhere as closely to that as possible. If not, here are the things that we can't change without rescinding money. So if you have training that resulted in college credit and you didn't do that training and we couldn't put anybody in that exact training to get it done and get the credential or the grade, we cannot reimburse for that particular training. So if they were taking a class, it cost $2,000 and your whole award was 10, and the college credit is the only thing that didn't happen, we couldn't give you the $2,000. We could only go up to eight. Training provided by a community college, university, or third party that gets you points. So if your application loses that, and you could have multiples on there, and then if you keep one, then you still get those points. So that's the original intent. But say nobody could, no training provider, could be replaced. We would have to rescind that part of the award. Training resulting in a certification or license, you're getting points again for identifying those. So if that training did not happen and you couldn't get anybody in there to replace them, that money had to be rescinded as well. Same with the registered apprenticeship program. If for whatever reason you had, registered apprentices on the plan and they just didn't do the training, they no longer work for you, whatever the case may be, we cannot give that money or reimburse that money either. The regional median wage, that's the big one. And I said it once already, but I'll repeat it because your regional median wage, you're going to identify saying, yes, I hit that wage with the trainees that are on this plan. And then 90 days post training, when we're coming back, or yes, 90 days post training, if your employees do not hit that wage for whatever reason, there are reasons that people get a lower wage, they change shifts, whatever. They took a promotion that they didn't want, later on, that can affect the regional median wage that you have on the application. And if it dips below the regional median wage, we have to rescind the entire award. We'll work with you and we'll see what we can do so that it doesn't do that, so that you can get as much reimbursement back as possible. But just know if that is the case, the entire award has to go away. And the modification must be approved by the Michigan Works Agency prior to the change occurring. So if you know that you're doing something a little bit differently than you originally planned, let's have that conversation. Let us know. We'll make sure that it's 100% okay, and we'll move forward from there. Maintaining the application scoring criteria at closeout. This is just another slide to say the same thing. That regional median wage award subject to total rescission if it's not maintained through closeout. So the process, we went over a little bit about this, but here it is in visual form. You're going to talk to your BSR. You're going to think about that needed training. Then you're going to develop that training plan. That training plan leads to the authorization request, which leads to the application. All along, you're getting support from us. Assessment of the final application, you're going to make sure we're going to make sure that you're maximizing the points that you can get. And then that assessment will lead to the submission. So you're going to submit it. When you submit the application, it comes to us as an agency so that we can have a final go through on that application. We've got a part that we have to fill out. And then once that happens, we're going to submit it to Leo with all those revisions done and all those questions answered when we finally get that application from you. And then, just like it says, there's a waiting game. After we submit it to Leo, remember, in theory, October 17th is the cutoff that you have to send it into us. Then we have a hot minute to turn it around and get it to the state. And then sometime, usually how this plays out is sometime in December, you will find out if you're awarded or not. So during that time period, that's when we're going to talk about and get those tax obligation notices. That's when your 60 days starts. So you want to make sure that you're on top of that. And the way that we have it now is, everybody that applies, not just the ones that are awarded, but everybody that's applying, we're going to know if you have a tax obligation. And then we're going to say, you've got to do this. And then you get on it. And then the day that the award is announced, we're telling the state they've taken care of it. Their tax obligation is done. Because you're going to be awarded pending that tax obligation verification. They will go verify it, and then they will award that officially to you. So that's where the big blue star comes in. You're going to get that agreement from us. We have a contract that just kind of goes over exactly what we're talking about today. These are your responsibilities. These are the MWA. That's us. These are our responsibilities. And this is what we need to have happen for this grant award to be reimbursed. Talks about reimbursement paperwork and stuff like that. So we're going to be following up all the way through this, making sure you're okay, making sure your training's going well. But we'll do follow up all the way up until the 6th month after the award, because we do wage checks as you're applying, then when the training is complete, and then 6 months after that. So there's 3 wage checks that we'll do. Okay. So just some employer expectations. You can see them here. The biggies, though, are making sure that you're actively involved in the planning and the execution of the training plan. Make sure your goals are realistic, and provide us with, the impact story and anything that we're asking. We're going to try to make it as painless as possible. There is paperwork. Nobody really likes paperwork, but we're going to make it as seamless and as efficient as we can for you. So just some last minute insights, just, because we've been doing this for a little bit now. Um, Training must result in an industry recognized credential. It's got to be something that's transferable, that somebody can take somewhere else and they can tell the new employer that they're working for, I have this skill, and it's somewhat recognizable. At least they've got a certification that they can prove that they have that skill. Online training guidelines. So online training used to be like a very much no-go for this program. They have since relaxed on that. It must still, though, be live and instructor-led. Hybrid formats are okay. So you take training over here, this module here, plus over here, there's some live instruction. That's allowed. So maybe it's not live every day or for every module, but there is a live instructor that you can go to and learn from and ask questions of, that kind of thing. Fully online self-paced training is only allowed if it's part of a registered apprentice, or I'm sorry, registered apprenticeship. So usually that fully online self-paced training is not allowed. So if that is something that you have on your training plan and we're asking for maybe a curriculum, or, what's the website, where's this training, after, if we can't find it just by Googling, that's why we're asking that question, because we have to make sure that it's not a fully online self-paced training. Human resources training is permitted if it's part of the USDOL registered apprenticeship program. Yeah. Otherwise, no human resources. And that's, again, where if it's on your training plan and we come back to you and ask questions about something that might be related to human resources, that is why it's not allowed. Weblooms, the online application system, displays your score before submission and updates it after any changes. So right away, if you change something and it changes that original intent of that award or that grant, we're going to know right away, because that point total will change. And then that's, a more detailed conversation at that point if it needs to be. Michigan Works agencies must share your application with all involved partners. This will mean 2 things. We have economic development organization that might be, working with us, that has more resources that we might want to say, hey, these guys are doing this training. You guys should maybe reach out to them, or we'll have them reach out to you, or vice versa, that kind of thing. Also, training vendors sometimes, and this has come up in our region just a couple of times, but worth noting, you have identified, we'll say, trainer A as your trainer. And I contact trainer A and say, hey, I got this whole great list of people that are training with you. And they're like, I don't know. We don't have half of those people on our list. They never talk to us. Well, that's a good reason to give them the heads up that you have identified that training, because that takes all of us to collaborate and make sure that we're a successful program up here. So that's just another reason to share that you have done that. Reimbursement will take place after all training is completed. So here's the team. I promised that I'd show you the team, picture to face, to name, all that good stuff. You can find us down here at the nwmiworks.org. This is Kyle. He's our administrative guru. We do look different than our pictures. I probably should update mine. But you know, we are a team of five right now. I'm hiring for that sixth spot, but you have Kyle and myself, plus anybody else on this list that you can come into contact with, and we'll get your answers for you, no problem. But just so you know, there they are. Some of them are on this call today. That's and then there is our contact information. Like I said, this PowerPoint will be sent out to everybody that was identified as wanting to be a part of this virtual info session. Plus, this recorded session will be up on our website, so you'll have access to it that way as well. Now, I know I didn't say it at the beginning, but I usually say interrupt me if you have a question, whatever you need. I want to answer as many of those throughout the presentation as possible. I didn't say that. I don't see any in the chat, but I'm going to make that offer now. Is there anybody with a question or multiple questions for that matter in our viewing audience? Okay. Well, with that, this is the end of our show. If you think of something on your way out, or just after we close this down, do hit us up. We're here for you guys. We want to answer the questions. We want you to be successful. Um, and with that, if there's nothing else, Kyle, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, everyone.